Card Service International presents The Energy of Sales Success with Tom Hopkins. Session 8, The Expansion, Inbound and Outbound Telephone Skills. We can help you apply your new selling strategies to telemarketing, enabling you to convert inbound telephone inquiries into sales. Discover how to expand your sales market and set up appointments via outbound calls to businesses in need of electronic payment solutions. Our mission to provide the very best service in the transaction processing industry today.
In business today, one of the most valuable tools that we have access to is the telephone. The reason it's so important that we learn how to use it is not only is the investment in the actual warm call or getting out to see people very expensive, but time-wise, in some of the areas where there's a tremendous amount of traffic, you can get so much more business done if you master the use of the telephone. So that's what this session is all about. I believe it begins with an attitude about the phone. And there are some times in our careers of selling where suddenly this darn thing called the telephone seems to weigh about 10 tons. Because of what's happened, because of maybe having a lot of rejection, a lot of us have a tendency to want to stop making calls. And I can honestly tell you, if you get the discipline of knowing the number of contacts you have to make each day, and then get your closing ratio from contact to appointment down, then from appointment into actual presentation and final closing, this is how you're going to determine your annual income. And I really hope you realize at the end of the year, your income will be in direct proportion to the daily activities you do. So the telephone is a very critical tool. Now I want to begin by saying that when you speak on the phone, you have to transmit a feeling as if you were right there with them. And voice transmission, in my opinion, means you develop a very warm, soft way of speaking. Some of us should possibly tape ourselves on the phone and get some opinions as to how we're coming across. Also, I find that they would like to talk to someone happy when you call, so one thing I believe is smile, just like you do when you meet a person in person. When you pick the phone up, why not put on a smile? Now, kind of as a side note, when I managed a real estate office, and I'm here with many agents right now, I so believed in this that I had small mirrors put on every telephone. And I told my staff, I said, guys, when you pick the phone up, they want someone happy and excited on the end of that phone. They want to meet someone who's like that. So when you get an incoming call, I want you to pick the phone up, look at yourself, and make sure you're smiling. Now, of course, we had them take these mirrors off when buyers came in, because here's all these weirdos smiling at themselves. Anyway, so try just like an in-person. Smile when you pick up the phone. Also, speak clearly. And something else you might try. Let's say you decide that today I'm going to make more calls than I've ever made before. I'm going to go in there with excitement. You may want to stand up and walk around while you're on the phone. This can build to your energy, to your excitement, okay? Let's now talk about what I call inbound calls. These are people calling you. Now our goal is to convert interest into an actual sale. Now I believe one of the first keys is preparation. So again, if I'm getting a call, I have an attitude check before picking up the phone to make sure that I'm psyched, and my main goal when someone calls our office, the main goal is to meet them. We must meet the caller. Now, of course, unless we can close it right on the telephone. And again, we're going to be talking both in-person closings and on the telephone closings. Now, here's some tools you want to make sure you have. Whenever you pick up the phone and are talking to a possible new client, you should have a piece of paper and make notes as fast as you can write of the things they're saying. Now, the main reason for this is, again, a trait of average salespeople, or let's say it another way. Many consumers believe that salespeople never listen to anybody. So if you meet them or call them back and you can reiterate and review the things they mentioned on the phone, right away they say, "Isn't this wonderful? I found a salesperson who really listens to me." And that's very, very important, okay? Now, you should have your new contact screen ready if you're working with contact software on your computer. That's the same basic concept, all right? And the approach is basically the same. Our goal is to build rapport. And I think if someone is calling you, you really need to start with the words "thank you." I think it's very important when they call and say, "Yes, we're just looking into what your company can do for us." Always start, "Well, let me begin by just thanking you for calling Card Service International." See, in a way, the words "thank you" begin such good feelings on that telephone. Now, here are some questions, and I can't tell you the importance on the phone of question, question, question. And these are questions you really want to make sure you ask on an incoming call. First of all, ask them, how did they hear about Card Service? See, I'd like to know what generated their curiosity to know more. I also want you to know if it's a referral from a satisfied client. See, because if ever you get a referral from a satisfied client, let's say the person calls because they talked to someone, find out who that person is. They must get a thank you note. I have learned one thing. When a person gave me a referral and I took good care of them over the years, they become like a bird dog. They're out in the community. They're looking for business for you. I was amazed how one or two people would send me 20% of my referred business just because they got thanked by me. I send them a nice gift of appreciation, and of course we had a wonderful friendship besides a business relationship. Also, you want to ask this question, of course, what is their business? And I like you saying it, tell me a little bit about your business. So you're not asking them to just give me an overview. Once they start opening up, you'll know what you need. Another question, very important. Can you tell me what your business volume is? That really will let you know a lot about what you have to prepare for. Also, ask this question. Are your clients asking if you take credit cards, debit cards, or checks? Boy, you really want to know if they're getting a lot of interest there. One thing on the telephone that we also have to do is determine their level of understanding of transaction processing. So you know how much educating you need to do when you either meet them or, again, call back and go from presentation into the telephone closing of the sale. Now, here's another thing. If they're just making an inquiry call and they haven't opened for business yet, well, of course, find out when they plan to be ready to open. Then, of course, you will try your best to do your presentation why Card Service is the best company for them. But I also want you to really not only get permission to keep in contact with them, you do not want to wait till they're ready to open their business. Because if you put them off or you don't close now, someone else normally will. So what I'd like you to do is this. Let's say they say to you, well, we're really not ready to open for about a month. You just say, wonderful, because that will give me more than enough time to get everything set up for you so that you're ready with our services the day you open up your doors. Outstanding. And then start questioning. Or you might try this. John, our experience has proven an interesting truth. The closer you get to opening your business, the busier you'll be. I know how valuable your time is. Why don't you let me help you save some time by getting started right now so as all the details that are going to come about happen as you get ready to open, this one's been taken care of. That makes sense, doesn't it? All right, very good. Try that, okay? Now, if they're already in business or let's say a bank referral, you'd of course go for the closing of the sale, boom, right now. Now, it's a pretty easy appointment sale. In fact, let me show you how we handle this wonderful device we call the phone and watch how realistic this role play is. We want you to come across just like this. Let's watch. It's a great day at Card Service. This is Tom. How may I help you?
Hi, I need some information about accepting credit cards.
Well, then you've made the right call. May I ask who I'm speaking with, please?
Oh, sure. My name is Mark Sampson.
Nice to meet you, Mark. And how did you hear about Card Service International?
Well, we applied for an account at our bank, but they wouldn't help us. Someone there suggested we call you.
That's great. We find we're able to help most of the people that the banks refer to us. Tell me a little bit about your business.
Well, my wife and I have a beauty supply business, and it seems like more and more of our customers are wanting to pay with credit cards.
I see. How many locations do you have?
Well, right now we have only the one, but we'd like to open another shop eventually for our daughter to run.
And adding credit and debit card convenience for your customers is a great way to grow your business. Mark, tell me, what part of town are you in?
Oh, we're located on the south side.
Really? Well, looking at my appointment schedule, I'm going to be in your area tomorrow afternoon. We can get together at 3, or would 5 be a better time for me to take your application? Even though your schedule may be empty or somewhat light, you need to make them feel you're busy, because that shows you're successful, and they'll want to do business with you.
Oh, 3 should be fine.
That's great. By the way, Mark, do you have a fax machine?
Oh, yeah, we sure do. That number is 555-4226.
Great. Well, Mark, because I know your time is valuable, I'll fax you a worksheet ahead of time. And if you wouldn't mind faxing that back to me, I'll have all the paperwork completed for our appointment tomorrow at 3. Now, my fax number is 555-1357.
Great. I'll get that right back to you.
Well, thank you again for calling Card Service, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye-bye.
The reason we ask him to send the worksheet back is so we can complete the paperwork and have it ready for the appointment, and also to find out more about his credit history. This allows you to prepare the proper pricing for the lease. And also, by having him fax the worksheet back to you, this significantly increases his commitment. Now, always be thinking in terms of eliminating areas of concern. In fact, you can even close the merchant sale over the phone if you have this attitude. Let me save your time. Let's get started now. It's so easy to do on the phone, especially with fax machines and with overnight deliveries. You can handle all this in 48 hours and have it set up. So don't be afraid to try to close on the phone. More and more phone sales are happening throughout the company. One thing that will happen as you mature in the business, you're going to learn to distinguish those potential clients who would be more comfortable meeting you in person. Some of them will really feel they have to see you, they have to have more visual, they have to hear all the benefits, so that's part of our job. We go over, we present, and we close. Now, this is especially true for those of you living in high-density, high-traffic areas. Develop the telephone skill. I really believe you can close just as powerfully on the telephone as in person if you master your phraseology and use it on the phone. You see, you've got to be protective of your time. And don't schedule visits if the transaction can be handled over the phone with no travel time, because your time is very valuable. And see, the time you invest traveling to merchant locations may have been better invested in closing another sale over the phone, all right? Now, this is another very important part of telephone handling. It's called outbound calls. Now, of course, an outbound call is when you're calling businesses. You do the same preparation, you're pumped up, you're excited. You, of course, might have a company lead you're calling. It could be Yellow Pages, DBA, or other lists. Now, the first thing you want to realize is expect them to want to get rid of you. Now, are we right in assuming this is a possibility? Yes. And you that are new, I'd like you to kind of say, this is a contest. Can I meet these people and I win, and of course then they win, or will they get rid of me, thus I lose, and so do they? You see how your attitude has to be? I mean, I was a fanatic. If someone called me or I called them, I had a goal of meeting them, because in the business that I was in then, in real estate, you never marketed anything over the phone. You had to meet them. But a lot of these people didn't want to meet you. In fact, I'll never forget, I got a call one day, and Chuck, I just have to share this. I got a call one